Brooke fell from the boat, Ridge jumped in to save her, the waves almost claimed her life. But what if it wasn't an accident? What if someone was watching from the shadows, waiting, planning, hoping? Today we uncover a chilling theory. Taylor Hayes never stayed behind in Los Angeles. She secretly followed Ridge and Brooke to Italy. And when her jealousy turned to desperation, she made a decision that may have nearly ended Brooke's life. This is the full breakdown of what really happened in Capri. Everyone believed Taylor was in Los Angeles. She told her daughter, her friends, and even Ridge himself that she needed space, that she respected his trip and wouldn't interfere. But that was all a carefully constructed lie. Taylor boarded a separate international flight under a different name. She avoided the Forrester Hotel and instead checked into a boutique inn on the outskirts of Naples. She wore sunglasses, scarves, and kept her phone off. No one knew she was there. And that was exactly how she wanted it. Because she had one mission: to find out whether Ridge was still hers, or whether Brooke had already taken him back. From rooftop lounges to quiet marina cafes, Taylor tracked them. She watched Ridge and Brooke stroll through cobbled streets. She saw them laughing, reminiscing, growing closer. Every touch, every smile, every whisper cut deeper than the last. Taylor didn't need to hear words. She could see the truth in Ridge's eyes. And that's when something inside her changed. She wasn't just hurt. She was angry. After everything she had given Ridge, every second chance, every ounce of forgiveness, he was drifting back into Brooke's orbit as if none of it mattered. Taylor had warned Brooke. She had tried to walk away. But this, watching Ridge and Brooke prepare for a private sail to Capri, it was too much. The day before the sail, Taylor managed to board the yacht. She posed as a travel writer doing a feature on luxury charter experiences. The staff welcomed her. She took pictures, asked questions, but she was observing, not the view, but the boat's layout. That's when she noticed a loose railing on the aft deck. It wasn't dangerous on its own, but if someone leaned on it the wrong way during a sharp turn, she didn't break it further, she didn't tamper directly, but she left it as it was, unsecured. Then she disappeared. The next morning, Ridge and Brooke boarded the yacht, unaware. They smiled for selfies, they poured champagne, and as the boat glided across the Mediterranean, Taylor watched from afar and waited. The Mediterranean sun was shining, the wind soft, the sea deceptively calm. Brooke Logan, radiant and relaxed, made her way to the rear of the yacht. She had a glass of champagne in one hand, a camera in the other, ready to capture the perfect shot of Capri's distant cliffs. She smiled, turning slightly as Ridge called out to her from the deck. Then, without warning, the boat tilted with a sudden wave. It wasn't violent, just enough to throw off her balance. Brooke's hand reached out instinctively for support. It landed directly on the faulty section of the railing, loose, barely latched, exactly where Taylor had noticed the weakness the day before. There was a sharp creak, a snap. Brooke let out a panicked scream as her body lurched over the edge. Her champagne flute shattered on the deck. In a second, she was gone, plunged into the cold, unpredictable waters. Gasps filled the air. Crew members shouted and scrambled, but none moved faster than Ridge. His heart seized in his chest. "Brooke!" he cried, racing to the railing and seeing only bubbles in the churning wake. Without thinking, he dove in. The water was rougher than it looked. Ridge fought to orient himself, eyes darting, lungs burning. A flash of blonde beneath the surface caught his eye. He surged forward, reaching, grabbing, pulling. When he emerged with her in his arms, she was coughing, sputtering, eyes wide in shock. He clung to her tightly, swimming them both back to the boat with everything he had left. The crew threw down a rope. Ridge lifted her, soaked and trembling, onto the deck. He followed, collapsing beside her, breathless and shaking. Their eyes met, and in that moment, amid salt and silence and chaos, everything changed. Brooke was safe, but the terror of nearly losing her left a mark on Ridge deeper than anyone could see. As he knelt beside her on the yacht's deck, soaked and trembling, the weight of everything they'd been through over the years came crashing down like the waves that had just threatened to take her. Memories flooded his mind, not just of their love, but of their failures, their second chances, the way they always found their way back to each other. Her breath on his shoulder, her eyes wide with fear, reminded him that Brooke wasn't just his past, she was his heartbeat. Eric's voice echoed in his thoughts. Some flights, if you don't get on, they're gone forever. And Ridge knew. This was his moment. There was no more room for doubt, no more time for hesitation. In that instant, Ridge made his choice, not just emotionally, but spiritually. He looked at Brooke, still trembling in his arms, and felt something click into place. He wasn't going to lose her again. And across the bay, from a quiet dock shrouded in shade, Taylor Hayes lowered her binoculars. She had seen enough. Her worst fear had come true. Brooke hadn't just survived. She had won. And Taylor had lost everything. Nick Marone was ready. That evening, he had planned to propose to Brooke with a ring in his pocket and a heart full of hope. He had chartered a private boat, elegant and intimate, set to meet Ridge and Brooke in Capri. He envisioned pulling her aside away from Ridge's influence and showing her what a future with him could look like. But fate had other plans. As Nick prepared to depart, his boat's engine sputtered, then failed entirely. The captain was baffled. No one could explain the issue, and the parts needed weren't available until morning. It was a rare occurrence, far too rare to ignore. Nick waited for hours, pacing the dock, trying to reach Brooke, unaware that she had already fallen into the sea. And behind the scenes, someone may have orchestrated the delay perfectly. Later, back at the Forrester estate, Eric Forrester began reviewing footage from the marina as part of a casual post-trip review. But what he found stopped him cold. The night before the accident, security cameras captured a woman. Tall, familiar, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, speaking quietly with a dock worker near the maintenance area. Her face was obscured, but the resemblance was undeniable. Taylor Hayes. Eric leaned in, replaying the footage. The timestamp matched just hours before the yacht's early morning departure. He didn't say anything immediately, but the seed of suspicion had been planted. Taylor didn't go to the hospital. She didn't call Ridge. She didn't ask about Brooke's condition. She boarded her flight home without a word. To everyone else, she seemed composed, graceful, maybe even noble in her silence. But beneath the calm exterior, Taylor was in pieces. She'd watched her plan fall apart. She had seen Ridge hold Brooke like he'd never let her go again, and she knew this wasn't a temporary setback. This was the end. Still, she said nothing. No confession, no confrontation. But secrets don't stay buried forever. Back in Los Angeles, Dr. John Finn Finnegan was deep in his own investigation, one focused on Grace Buckingham's questionable medical trial. While tracing digital records and hospital logs, he stumbled across something unexpected: a flagged passport entry and marina log in Naples. A name that didn't belong to Taylor Hayes, but was tied to her photo. A fake identity. A docking timestamp and security footage from the night of Brooke's fall. As Finn pulled together the data, a pattern began to emerge. Taylor hadn't just followed Ridge, she had watched, she had waited, and now, piece by piece, the truth was catching up to her. So, was Brooke's fall truly just a tragic accident? Or was it the calculated result of one woman's desperation? Taylor Hayes may have never laid a hand on Brooke. She didn't push, she didn't shove, but she did watch. She did follow, and she did make choices that set a chain of events into motion. Choices rooted in heartbreak. Choices fueled by jealousy. Choices masked by silence. When love becomes obsession, and when reason gives way to revenge, even the most unthinkable actions begin to feel justified. Taylor didn't just lose Ridge that day. She lost her grip on everything she believed made her the better woman. And what was left behind? A trail of clues. A suspicious railing. A falsified identity. And a storm that nearly swallowed Brooke whole. This is The Bold and the Beautiful. where emotions run deeper than the sea and secrets refuse to stay buried. Like, comment, subscribe, because next week, truth surfaces and someone will be exposed. And remember, in this game of love and power, someone always falls, and sometimes they were pushed.